What's up, everyone? Welcome back to my channel. Yeah, I'm driving. I'm being safe though. But hear that? Let me flip it around, maybe it'll sound better. Hopefully you can hear it. That is the rear differential whining. And that's this video. So if you're here to learn how to rebuild a Ford 8.8 Super in a, I want to say like a 2016 on up. Might want to check into that, but mine's 2019. And these are the Super 8.8s. Prior ones are just the Ford 8.8s. So they're going to be internally pretty similar. But I'm going to teach you all how to set up a ring and pinion, new carrier, axle bearing, seals, 100% rebuilt 8.8 Super. So stay tuned. Well, you heard that. Definitely screwed up ring, pinion, bearings, everything. Today, I'm just kind of getting ready for tomorrow. So, went to Harbor Freight, bought me a little press, and look what I did already. Got my first bearing on there. Went right on. I'll show you some more tomorrow. I just wanted to test this thing before I went to work today. Make sure I made some pressing deals. This is for the pinion, but it works for this too. Same diameter race. So I just made some blocking. It was just a hollow tube, so I had to make, put a plate on there so this don't go down the side. And it worked. So, welcome back to my channel. Anyways, please subscribe, like the video, ask questions, and we're gonna dig into this differential rebuild pretty good for this 8.8 Super Ford. Not a whole lot out there on the internet about them. They are different than the 8.8 Fords. It's a Super. So we're gonna dig into that as we get going here, but I'm going to work and I'll catch you guys tomorrow. We're gonna pick up and rip into this thing. All right, I made it home. One more trip to work and back. Fingers are crossed. Man, this thing is not sounding good at all. It made it. So I put the new lube in the rear end about a week ago. Just let me through another week. And here we are. So let's get at it. Okay, 2019 F-150 XLT Sport. This has the 8.8 Super in it. Do your homework, know which rear end you got. There's like, I don't know, 3 different variations. This is a non-electronic locker. This is not the 9.75 or whatever it is. 8.8 Super. 2015 on up has the 8.8 Supers, not the 8.8 standards. So make sure you understand that. Here's all my parts. Everything laid out. This one, all Yukon stuff. This is what they require. No synthetic, so again, do your homework. I did. They gave me some limited slip friction modifier. You gotta put that in. I got my shims for the carrier. They gave me a couple different crush collars, but maybe a spare, but I got 2 of those, only need 1. Then I got this is the carrier bearing and race. The other carrier bearing is already on the carrier you've seen on the prior clip. Here's the outer yoke end pinion bearing. And here is the inner pinion bearing. And I also bought a separate one, same brand. I'm going to try to show you all the part numbers as I go, because it's hard to find these things on the Ford website and get the right numbers. So these are Koyo brand bearings. And there it is. This is the big one. Biggest one on the pinion. And I had a setup bearing, so I'm going to polish the bore out. It's going to be slip fit onto the pinion until I get my shimming correct. In the meantime, I'm going to measure my stack height on that. Here's the one I'm going to use. So I'm going to measure my overall height with that bearing in the cone or cup, and then I'll record that number, and then I'm going to put this one in there also and check it to make sure they're both the same. That way, when I do all my shimming with this bearing, and then I'm good with it, I will use the same shim on this bearing, and it should be exactly the same. I got some shims here for the pinion it came with. I got axle seals. There's a number right from Ford. That's what it looks like. Here are the axle bearings. If I decide I'm going to put them in or not, I don't know yet. We're going to dig into that and see how they look. I got them just in case. There's the numbers for those. Then the Yukon ring and pinion, 355 gear ratio. And I went ahead and I got the, it's not really a posi, it's a limited slip posi. Pretty much a posi though. You gotta break them in. That's what that friction modifier is for. Helps those clutches kind of season themselves. And then that's where I got everything from. Quick Performance, give them a call. They will be less money than these guys. If you call them direct, you'll be shocked. This whole kit was $1,800, what I just showed you, through Yukon. Quick Performance, there it is. There's all their information, what it is. There's everything right there. Here's the price to my door. Can't beat that. So there you have that. Alright, this is my specialty tool area, not just ratchets and all that stuff. That's all. I'll explain that as I go what I'm using. But this is all the specialty stuff. As you've seen, I already bought the press. So I got the press over there. And I made custom drivers or pressing. This is going to be this is for the seal, to drive the seals in for the axles, if I need it. This is the bearing installation for the axles. So that will pilot onto the bearing right there. And this whole face will shoulder out on the axle bearing. And then that's where I hit it with my hammer. Knock them in. This is for the pinion. When I press the pinion bearing on, it's going to go just like that, right over that, like that. Hit the pinion, I'll press it on. That's 6 1/4 inches long. It's got to be clearance for 2 inches here. And I believe it's only like 3/16 wall, 1/8 inch wall. You don't want to be too big. I'll get the dimension. I'll put it right here once I know it. I'll put the ID, OD, and overall length. And that also doubles down, as you've seen on the press, as that. That's why you don't want it too big on the OD. You have to fit inside that cage. So if you're trying to press on, anytime you're doing bearings, you want to press on the inner race. The race that is taking the press fit is where you want to press on. Don't be a dipshit and press on the cage. You fuck it up. So don't do that. All right. Let me go back over here. And I got my different dial indicators. So I got my Noga base. I like these. Just a mag base. I got my dial test indicator. That's a little more precise than this one, but they both are sufficient. I've heard some people say use this one because this one, you know, it pivots. It's not straight in and out, but they do the math in these when they build them. That doesn't matter a whole lot. So we're gonna see. I'm gonna check it with this, backlash with this, and we're gonna check it with that, and it'll be the same number. You watch. I know. Got some calipers just to measure that bearing stack height I was talking about a little bit ago. And I think that's it for the specialty tools. I will explain anything else I do as I go. All right, I need to show you this. Dimensions, I know you probably want them. So this is for the seal, to install the seal. This diameter is just over 1.710. So 1.710 on that diameter. This don't mean nothing. It's 1 5/8. That's just for beating it on with the hammer. And then the lengths don't really matter either. I use what I had laying around. And this is just under 3 inches, so 2.935 on that. It could be 3 inches and you'll be fine. Don't want to be too small because you don't want to flatten your seal out. And here is for the bearing, the wheel. These are the axle bearings, the outer axle bearings. So I made this. This is kind of important size here. It is 1.672. Gotta be small enough to fit inside the bearing. just to pilot in there and hold it kind of centered. The OD is just kind of sort of important. 3 1/4. Okay, 3.25. That's so it catches the whole bearing. And then this don't really matter. Just something smaller. We can make that anything you want. You're just hitting it with a hammer. So that's that. And then this guy, this is for your yoke on your drive shaft. And this pilot diameter is a little bit over 2 inches. So make it just like a couple thousandths over 2 inches. It'll fit on where the yoke or the drive shaft bolts to your yoke. The pilot's on there. And then these are clearance holes for M12. And it was 3-inch. I'm going to edge. It was 3-inch center to center. Hang on. There we go. Yeah, right about there. Okay, so 3 inches center to center, both directions. 3-inch center to center. I'm going edge to edge, same thing. So you got that. Clearance for M12, so you know, go a 1/2-inch drill bit's fine. And I just made a handle. Make it any old way you want. The main thing is you get that right, and this will go up against my leaf spring when I do my final torque on my crush collar. That'll prevent everything from spinning. I could put a big old breaker bar in that nut because I'm going to need to, and torque the crap out of that thing to crush that collar. So there's my little handle I made. Alright, first step, wheels off obviously, brakes off, brake caliper, rotor, everything. All the brakes off. 13 millimeter for the caliper, and then caliper bracket was 22 millimeter. Take those off. And then we're going to lift this thing all the way up and start breaking into that differential. Here's what I was talking about earlier before I lift that truck up. Got a little sidetracked. But I checked my stack up height of that bearing. And then I pulled out into the side. Grab the other one. Remember, one's the one I'm using and one's setup bearing. I just want to make sure they're the same height. So I depth mic both of them right down there to that precision ground flat stock, and it's perfect. They're both identical, which they should be. Here's how you identify if you got an 8.8 super. You can see it's pretty much just a basically oval, whatever you want to call it, rectangle. It's symmetrical. The 9 and 7/3, what is it, 9 3/4, whatever they are. They got a little angle on one side. It's shaped completely different. And then look for these little notches right here, little radius cutouts on the pan. It's got 1 and 1. So on this side, the right side, you'll have 2 of those little cutouts. So that is an 8.8 super. So I'm gonna pop that pan off. Those are 13s. I've already been in here to diagnose what the problem was before I bought all the parts, and I know what it was. You'll see. So yeah, let's start pulling these guys loose. There's like 3 of them. Keep in mind where those studs are when you do it, because I gotta put them back in the right place. So I got my video as a reference. There, there, and there. Wow, that fluid looks nice and clean. Wow. Well, it's a week old, so it better. All right, I had to beat it a little bit until I get that going. Try it out. Let her leak out. Don't make a big old mess. It's almost 3 quarts. Or, let me rephrase that. 3 of those containers, whatever those are. I think they're quarts, but 3 of them. All right, a little drain, and I'll pop this off, and I'll show you the inside. All right. Got her open. I already know, but yeah, see the spider gears all broke. Not completely, but enough. So all that crap got in the oil and trashed everything. So let me show you the carrier bearings. You already know this ring gear should be tight. You should not have any in or out movement. You should have a little bit of backlash. Well, here's how much backlash I got. It's at least 50. But watch this. That's in and out. So I'm hoping it's just the bearings and not the bores. If it's the bores, my rear end's trashed. So we'll see. I'll get this all out and we'll see. Pop these loose. This will slide out, and then I'll go back to the other side and I'll show you the pinion, how to handle all that. Got a little ahead of myself. You ain't pulling shit loose till you push your axles out. So they got some C-clips in here, and in order to get to those, this little cross pin right here is bolted in. There's a bolt. You can't see it right now, but I'll have to drop my drive shaft so I can spin this around. I don't think I can spin it now. Yeah, no, I can't spin it now. And I'll show you what bolt to pull out to pull the cross pin out. Once this cross pin's pulled out, you can push the axles in. Because right now you can see the axles can't go in because the cross pin holds them from going in. But once that cross pin's out, you push your axles in, pull your C-clips out, and then your axles can pull out. Once I get my axles clear, then I can take these loose, pull the caps, keep your caps, which side they go on, so know what side they go on. I'm gonna get a good video right here. I can see which way my letters are oriented. Looks like the same freaking numbers. So really watch. No, actually they are different. Oop, where'd it go? That one says WF59, oriented that direction. WF36 pointed that direction. So there's my reference and how they go. And there's also shims. You gotta watch your shims right up in here. Keep your shims on the correct side also, because I want to put those back in as a reference. I may or may not reuse them. Probably won't reuse them, but we'll see. I do want to keep that number for a reference. It will put me pretty close. It might, but just keep track of where everything's at and make sure you know where it came from. All right, here's a drive shaft end. They're 12 millimeter, but make sure you get the correct, 12 point, whatever it is. I'm just using a standard wrench, but use a 12 point and get all 4 of those loose. And I'm gonna pull this drive shaft back. I got a bungee ready, and I'm just gonna bungee cord it up out of the way. I don't need to take it loose from the transmission. So I'm gonna break these 4 loose, get that out and hanging. Drive shaft out of the way. So I'm disconnected, so I got full rotation now. So I come over here and orient that pin, bolt that holds it in. That's 8 millimeter head. Break it loose. There it is. Now that pin's free to push out. All right, so let's reach the back side, give it a push. Yep, she comes right out. There she is. Really don't need to reuse it. I got a new differential, but you know, if you're reusing this stuff, make sure you know how everything came out. I'm not, but good practice, know how it came out. I mean, you can't put it in the wrong way because it's only got a tapped hole on one side. So there you go. Now I'm ready to push the axles in and pop the C-clips out. All right, I'm gonna push this axle in, driver's side one. You should see it pop out. There it goes. And you can see the C-clip right there. Oops, there we go, right there. So just pull that guy out and repeat on this side. All right, grab yourself some needle nose. I got the open ends away from me right now of the C-clip. There we go. Hang on to those, gotta reuse them. Really doesn't matter what side, but I'm still gonna keep everything the way it come out. Now the axles are ready to pull out. They just pull out. So I'm gonna get them all the way out of here and get them out on the floor, both sides. Then I can start inspecting the seals and the bearings here. I can pull the carrier out. There's a lot of things I can do now once I get these axles pulled out. All right, got that cap off. There's the shim I'm talking about. Thank God they got them on the outside. If you're rebuilding yours, you're not gonna put new parts in, you know, new carrier or whatever. You're just gonna change bearings. Sometimes they put the shims back here. So this shim would be behind the bearing after it's pressed on. Pain in the ass. You know, it's it's easy to do the shimming on the outside of these caps on the outer races. But this one's really loose. I mean, that should not fall out of there that easy. You should have to pry this out a little bit. There should be some pressure on there, some preload. We'll get into that when I'm ready. I'll explain what the preload is, how much to put on there, how to shim it. And you got preload, you got backlash, you got pinion depth, all that matters. So I'm gonna go ahead and take that side off, keep track of my caps, my shims, keep everything the way it came out. All right, that's how it came apart. So I'm gonna mic this shim, I'm gonna mic that shim, and I got it right here. I'm gonna write down my numbers, and then there it is. I can't get them mixed up no more. So that's the next step. Wow, pretty surprised. Only 2 thousandths difference. So that's not a huge difference. Usually there's about 50 I've seen. So anyways, there you have it. Pretty funny. This is the last 8.8 rear end I did. Not a super, but for a Mustang. There was the passenger side shim. There's a driver's side shim. So not that much difference. Not like I thought. 14 thousandths there. But that's almost the same exact size as what's in mine. Alright, I had to cut that video in half because it's so damn long. So that was the disassembly, pretty much, of the 8.8 Super. Next video will show the remainder of what's left to finish it. So I'm going to end this video here. Thanks for watching it so far. Please subscribe. If you have any questions, ask. Please share the channel. And go to part 2 to see the rest of it. And I'll see you over there. Thanks.